and residents in the city. They had been shutting off water for years, but nowhere on this scale.
Welcome, welcome, welcome back. We are back again, beloved community, with yet another installment of the People's Water Board Coalition's Water Wednesdays webcast. And as always, I am here with my beloved co-host, Valerie Jean. And we cannot forget our behind-the-scenes tech guru extraordinaire, Miss Angelica, who keeps us running consistently week after week and brings you consistent content that hits the nail right on the head as to what's going on across the state and around the world. And today, people, we have a show that is bringing some light and love to the issues we usually speak about. It's a feel-good show, and we have the honor and the pleasure of having Miss Ruelaine Stokes with us. She is a Lansing, Michigan Poet Laureate, and I'm going to jump right into the show. It's a short show, but I did just have one precursor question for Miss Stokes. For some of our viewers who may not understand what it means to be a poet laureate, if you could just briefly explain to them what a poet laureate is.
Well, a laureate, it means a poet who's chosen to represent the city or the state or the country in some ways, and to act as an ambassador for poetry. I think that's the easiest way to explain it. So I'm currently the ambassador for poetry.
Oh, absolutely.
It's wonderful.
Love it.
Yeah.
We're so happy. Thank you for coming on the show. We're so happy to have you on the show. What a blessing it is to be able to hear from you and to hear how you've kind of put water at the forefront of your poetry right now. It's art really does depict the times, and that's exactly what you've done here by creating this poetry contest. So we're really, really so happy you're here. Thank you for being on the show.
I'm delighted. I'm really delighted.
And you're a really busy person, so you took out time to do this, so we really appreciate it.
Yeah.
I'm going to jump right in. Can you first tell our viewers about the poetry contest, We Are Water? It's called We Are Water. Very special.
We have this really exciting poetry contest that actually we're launching this Friday. It's called We Are Water, and we're inviting everybody within the Tri-County area, which is Hingham, Eaton, and Clinton County, right in the middle of the state. Everybody age 10 and over in the Tri-County area is invited to submit up to 3 poems, relatively short poems, about 25 lines or less. The winners of the contest will have their poems featured on lectern signs. Lectern signs are just a sign with, strong legs and information plate at a 45-degree angle, so it's really easy to read. So we're going to have artwork and a single short poem, and they will be located along the walking paths in the Tollgate wetlands, the Tollgate Drain wetlands, which is a magical place right inside the city of Lansing. It's part of the stormwater management system. So it has this very serious purpose of collecting stormwater, preventing floods, collecting stormwater. And this is the magical part, removing the pollution by using natural means, by using environmentally safe methods, and then releasing pure, clean water into the environment instead of sending polluted water into the Grand River and the Red Cedar River. So that's the serious, exciting, beneficial function. But the thing is, it looks like a beautiful little park, like a nature preserve, a wildlife sanctuary. There are all kinds of wildlife there, and people come to walk all the time, to run, to bike, to sit on a bench and just dream or read a book. It's beautiful. And I fell in love with this place and got the idea that we could place lectern signs along the walking paths that brought some poetry and just sort of deepened the conversation about water and the environment and what it is to be a human being in this time and place.
Wonderful. It sounds like a paradise right in the middle of Lansing.
Exactly.
It
I was just sitting
is.
here thinking like how peaceful and calming just hearing the description of it was. And I can just imagine sitting there reading a book, looking at nature, and realizing that not only is this beauty in nature, but it's functionality in nature as well. As you were saying, how it cleans the water by natural means. And I think we need more of
And
that
stops
across the
flooding and things,
country.
right?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, here in Detroit, we have a huge issue with concrete and flooding and not having our
Exactly.
sewage updated, all of our system updated to where when it rains, I mean, it's a
Some of the
really
freeway flooding
it's
is
a really big deal
devastating.
because it,
Yeah.
it backs up, right? It backs up in people's basements. You get sewage, of course, spilled out into the water. It's all kinds of things.
Yes.
So it's actually having a broad conversation and using art and poetry to have it is such a great way for other cities to kind of look at what's going on there and how they can improve and do things naturally too. Like
Absolutely.
this is actually a beautiful way to have that conversation about for all over Michigan, for big cities all over
Yeah.
Michigan. You know what I mean?
It's
Like,
really interesting because it didn't exist before 1997, and Tollgate didn't exist by accident. And it actually was created by our drain commissioner,
okay.
Jake Lindeman, who oversees drains in Ingham County. And so he has created a whole number of drains that are designed to mimic nature, use nature, mimic nature, and remove the pollution from the water, so that you release clean water, and also it's cheaper than removing pollution through chemical means. That
And
is
it's got to be healthier for the people in the
Definitely.
water,
That's what I was gonna say.
right?
Much be
Than
safer
chlorine.
as well.
Yeah. Yeah. I
This could
mean,
be a
this you can
blueprint
smell the
for the
chlorine in
entire
Detroit's
state.
water.
It could be a
Yeah.
it
blueprint for the entire state. It really could.
Yeah.
right, because we have Michigan is a really, I'm sure you know this, Michigan is really important because we um, are connected with so much of the world's uh, freshwater preserves. I think close to 21% of the world's freshwater reserves we have here in Michigan. And the Great Lakes are the biggest surface freshwater system in the world. And so water politics are very important.
Right, and you can see water politics playing out throughout Michigan, right, where they're using water in a whole bunch of nefarious ways to cool nuclear energy, plants to cool the data centers that are being,
Yes,
right? Like
yes,
water is already being politicized here in Michigan because we do have the largest fresh body of fresh water in the
Yeah.
world right here, and it is really a commons. That's the thing that people, especially corporations and the government, they don't think of it that way. They see it as a resource, but it really is a commons that is and a relative. Like indigenous people talk about water, you know, in a way that it's a relative. And when you're seeing something as a relative, you're going to protect it different. You're going to hold that. You're gonna hold it and protect it in a different way than you would a resource that you think that you can exploit, right? Things like that. So we already see that
They don't
happening
see it
throughout
as
Michigan.
a life force. They see it as something to be commodified and
Yeah.
privatized and
yeah,
And
utilized for
look,
and
their
we all
needs
know.
only.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right. We all know the commodification of water is the worst thing that we could have ever done to ourselves and the planet.
absolutely.
It absolutely
Absolutely.
is. So to have especially somebody, like an engineer, somebody who was putting together the plans years and years and years ago to say, "Hey, we can do this naturally. Let's do it." And then years later you see how it's working
Yeah.
and how it's inspiring such beautiful poetry and art. This is just so exciting.
Or
So
just being
exciting.
able to let nature stay as close as it can to its intended state
Yeah.
without, manipulating it too much is just a beautiful thing to see. So,
It's a beautiful thing. Yes.
yeah, that kind of like leads us into the next question of what was the inspiration for the poetry contest?
Well, I wanted to make poetry visible as the Lansing Poet Laureate. I wanted to have a project that could make poetry visible not only to poets or writers, but to people who don't think about poetry very much. They don't think themselves as writers. And so I thought, I asked the question, is there a way to um, put poems in a beautiful place that people like to visit, like to come to naturally, and they could just naturally encounter a poem that would somehow connect with them personally. And it's not so easy. We did a sidewalk poetry project. Dennis Heinrichsen, our first poet laureate, did a sidewalk poetry project, and it was very, very, very exciting. We loved it. It was wonderful. But to my surprise, I realized that after 3 years, the words that were etched in concrete, the etching wears down, so it's really not possible to read them anymore. So, which really gave me a more respect for Mother Nature, because the
Right.
power of how nature can weatherize things is
Yes.
you have to take into consideration. So I was thinking, if we could use really sturdy signs that would last, um, 100 years or more, and a simple construction. And so I fell in love with these particular signs because it's very easy to remove the information plate. So you could have another poetry contest in 3 or 5 years. Or if it got damaged, it's easy to remove that information plate. But the actual stand for the poetry signs will last 100 or more years. So,
Wonderful.
and it's
Yeah.
it's beautiful. It fits in with nature. It doesn't seem jarring.
Yeah. Yep. That's wonderful. And so how can people get and we're going to put links down below for everyone too, but how can people uh, enter into the contest?
The
And like you said, you can be from 10 years and up. Like this
That's
is
amazing to know that
it's
you
amazing.
are not
Right.
only displaying this beautiful art in nature in its natural state, but also encouraging even the youngsters to find out about nature, to find out about
Planting the
poetry and
seeds.
art, planting the seeds. Because, I always had this one thing I say to my children, and they talk about my schooling compared to their schooling. I said, there were probably kids that had developmental issues when we were in school. I said, but the vast majority of us knew not to act out in the classroom because you wouldn't get to go to art, you wouldn't get to go to music, you wouldn't
They
get to.
take those things
They
away
took
from
those
you.
things out of the schools now. And that really stifled children's creativity at such a young age that I'm so glad
Yeah.
this is open to younger children.
Right, right. This is, and when you work with young people in this way, it sparks something in them that they live with, that they inspire to for the rest of their lives. I've seen
Yeah.
it happen. I have seen it happen. So from young people all the way to elders, like this is really great. This is really
It's
great. Tell us how
an
they can
urge
get
to
involved.
make something, and making a poem or making a bowl. I think there's a kind of pride and confidence that comes from being able to make something in the world,
Yeah.
and writing is part of it.
Wonderful. So we're going to put the links down below, but
Oh,
folks,
yeah,
yes, please tell us how they
want
can.
the link. Okay. For the
Yes.
contest guidelines, go to my website. And my website is www.ruelainestokes.com.
It'll be down
And you'll
below in the
see the
video.
information about the contest right on my homepage. And there's also a special separate page that has suggestions for ways to writing prompts and information about how to enter the contest. So all that information is on my website. Okay. And if you have a question, send it by email to poetrypathway71@gmail.com. Poetry
Poetry.
Pathway
Yep, that's
71.
great. That's great. Well, I am so excited, and I'm definitely going to take a trip to Lansing to photograph this.
Good.
I would really like to stay in touch with you so that we can do updates on this and photograph it and share it with all of our viewers. Because it is really important that when we talk about solutions, that for things like that as serious as, stormwater drainage. I mean, that's serious.
Yes.
It's a huge part of people's bills.
Mhm.
So making it more affordable, we're all about talking about making sure that water is affordable for people, and the sewage part is a huge part of people's bills. So this not
Yes, it
only
is.
is it a solution that that's better for nature, but it's going to be cheaper. And we'd love that it's going to be this conversation. So I'm hoping that I can do that.
If you
You
come, just call me or text me. I'll give you a tour of Tollgate. Welcome you to the city.
How wonderful. I would love that. Me
Absolutely.
and Nicole will make our way there to
Oh,
Yes.
that would
Lansing to
be
do that.
That would
terrific.
Yes,
be
we absolutely will,
awesome.
because we want to be able to share it with our viewers and let them see firsthand. And we'll do a follow-up show with you too. You said that you had a water poem for us, which we're
Yeah.
all really, really excited. Would you like to read it for
I would
us?
love to read it. And I should say, I'm not a water expert, although I grew up close to the Pacific Ocean and I adored water and feared water from an early age.
Oh,
I
good,
understand
good, good
power.
relationship.
Um, but I've often, even though I've known like some statistics about what percent of water is in our body, I've I've always thought of water as part of the environment, as outside me, and I haven't thought deeply about all the water in my body. So this poem is sort of from the perspective of the body, becoming aware of all the water inside the body, and it's called Body of Water. I am awash in water. My mouth is a wet cave, my flapping tongue coated with saliva. A musty damp gathers under my arms and between my toes. Tears shield my eyes. My thoughts hire messengers to navigate the canals in my brain. My sturdy heart speaks in iambic verse, embraces my body in a vast net of arteries, veins, and microscopic capillaries lying next to every cell. Did I tell you that 70% of each cell is water? Each cell is surrounded by water, water within water. I am a walking, talking body of water mixed with stardust and time.
That's really beautiful.
Isn't it? That is so
Thank you.
beautiful. And that is such
Um,
a
Something
great way.
changes.
It's
Uh,
such a great way to look at our bodies, as well as understanding that we are not in nature, we are nature. We are part of nature.
and we can make things better.
We can.
Exactly.
We can make things better. We have it in ourselves to make the world a better place, to protect the
Yes,
water. And as Michiganders, it's our duty to do that.
it is. Absolutely.
We were blessed to be surrounded by the Great Lakes, and it's the greatest gift that the earth could ever give us.
Yes. Yes.
Absolutely. That was
Yes,
beautiful.
it
Thank you.
was.
Thank
I
you.
see exactly why you are the poet laureate.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Thanks. I learned a lot from writing the poem. I haven't, I've always loved water. I know I needed water, but it wasn't until I started thinking that we really are water. We're water-based organisms, and life itself is water-based. All forms of life are water-based, and um, protecting water is to protect ourselves.
That was really beautiful. This is
Yeah.
a special show. I hope that our viewers share it with folks and think about their own bodies of water, um, and how magical and special that is, and how it connects us in such a way to the entire planet. It really, is our duty to protect the water because it's a commons, yeah, for the animals, the earth, in us, all of us. So thank you for very much for reading us a poem and for creating such a beautiful contest for people to really think about it and open a wider conversation about how we can protect ourselves in the water and the
Absolutely.
earth. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm so happy to meet you.
It was
We're thrilled that
definitely
So
you're
our
here.
admire
pleasure.
the work that you're doing.
And to our viewers, be be gentle with yourselves. Give yourself some grace. Think about your own bodies of water and take care of each other and try to stay afloat. Bye.